All right, we're back on the air, it seems. Hang on, folks. Do apologize. I do not know what just happened. Um, Hang on here. Can I at least refresh the live dashboard? I think I can. Okay. So sorry about that, folks. There are some things I can't seem to control sometimes. All right, we're back on the air, it seems. Hang on, folks. Okay, so we're back on the air. I do apologize about that brief pause. So let's link back up to WBOC right now and see if we can get coverage from them. Dan Satterfield should be live at any moment on WBOC. Okay, whoa, okay, we don't want to have an echo. So, I'm gonna let the anchors do their thing, and then when Dan comes on the air, I will put it in full screen so you all can get an idea. Why aren't we in high def? So right now we are on the WBOC live YouTube page. So if you're in Delmarva, you can access this when they're live, and I find this very useful because I have a hack that lets me watch Delmarva live here in New York. Don't ask how I do it, but I have ways of getting Delmarva live up here in New York at least. That's very important for down there. I just wish that WBOC would be live already. Now, I could get WBOC's real feed, but I would have to involve my iPhone and then my allocator tweak, which under these circumstances, you know, that's a possibility if we get something inconsistent. So, as I said, we are waiting live for... Here we go. Let's see what they're leading off with.
I'm Todd Curley, and I'm Steve Hammond. We're covering all of Delmarva tonight. Hurricane Dorian's impact hours away now from Delmarva. How Somerset County is offering to help people on Smith Island evacuate. Some, though, say they're going to ride it out.
Oh, look at that, folks. Somerset County is being evacuated. That is not a good sign right now. There are some coastal towns in Somerset. That I know. So I'm thinking, did they issue a warning for... Oh, thank God they're talking about this. This is very important for our quality of life. So at least they're doing a quality of life story. Okay, here we go right now. Let's listen into WBOC.
We'll be well offshore tomorrow as it passes by, but we will certainly feel the effects of it here on Delmarva. Let's take a look now from Chopper 16 over the coast. High surf, cloudy skies are signs Dorian is certainly making its way north. Now, when we wake up tomorrow, it'll look much different than it does when we go to bed tonight. Rain is expected to start overnight, and stronger winds will also pick up. Beach erosion is one of the main concerns with this storm system. Coastal areas in Accomack County could get storm surges as high as 4 feet. And towns along the coast can also expect to see some minor flooding. Let's take a live look right now into Ocean City. The waves are building at the inlet. Chief Meteorologist Dan Satterfield keeping an eye on the storm, and he joins us in the Storm Tracker Weather Center with the first check.
Yeah, well, right now it's not too bad out there, but the swells offshore are increasing. A quick look again, radar's clear, but a tropical storm warning for all of lower Delmarva. That includes Accomack County and the offshore waters. The 6 o'clock advisory on Dorian puts it moving north-northeast at 8. Pressure holding at 960 millibars, winds at 110. It's a Category 2 storm. It does look to me as if this thing will cross very near Wilmington the next couple of hours and then over the Outer Banks. It'll pass closest to us tomorrow around midday. That means rip currents and beach erosion, some minor coastal flooding, probably only 1 to 2 foot storm surge. The winds, though, could gust to over 50 on the beaches, especially over southern Delmarva. More weather in a bit. All right, Dan, thanks. Due to the expected storm surge, leaders in Somerset County are encouraging people who live on Smith Island to evacuate. High winds and high tides could spell trouble for that island. WBOC's Caroline Coles is live in Crisfield. And Caroline, you spoke with some islanders who are going to ride this thing out.
That's right. Many people here say they are not going anywhere. In fact, we saw a lot of people today getting those last-minute essential items before the storm hits. Now, emergency officials are urging people on Smith Island to get out just because they're just wanting them to be on the safe side. But other than that, a lot of people say they are not going anywhere. They're staying right here. Instead of going away, Captain Larry Laird is going towards Smith Island.
I'm not evacuating.
But the Somerset County Emergency Services is urging people on Smith Island to get out. Hurricane Dorian expected to impact Smith Island with strong winds and floodwaters. And even though Captain Larry is not evacuating, he's making sure his boat has plenty of fuel for the next few days. And here in Crisfield,
it floods all the time.
Neighbors are also too familiar with the sight of flooding. Hope Sturgis lives here and says her street is flooded on multiple occasions. So today, she's getting those last-minute items.
I got bread, watermelons, eggs.
Groceries for herself and elderly neighbors before the storm arrives.
It does flood a lot, so we just have to take precaution so that once we get out, we can get back in.
Packing items to go to Tangier Island. Crisfield worker Wayne Johnson says he'll also be packing up his own outside items to bring inside.
What we normally do is just make sure everything's just in the house, nothing will blow away, stuff like that.
Preparations being made ahead of the storm surge. And for those that are staying on Smith Island, the Crisfield Fire Department is offering free boat services throughout this evening. Reporting live right here in Crisfield, I'm Caroline Coles, WBOC News.
The Center for the Inland Bays in Sussex County is installing oyster shells into the bay on one of Dewey's most flooded streets, just in time for high tide tonight, in fact. On Reed Avenue, they created a low reef made out of bags of recycled oyster shells from restaurants in the area. The reef will protect a stormwater discharge pipe and slow down the wave action there. By the end of fall, the center will also create a sand dune 3.5 feet tall to help combat flooding.
And with this nature-based living shoreline, we're going to be able to recycle, reuse things that we find in nature and do a much better job of protecting our shoreline and shoring up the things that need protecting in our town.
The Center for the Inland Bays says these oyster shells will assimilate into aquatic life, a solution that is environmentally friendly and along the way helps to fight flooding in that part of Dewey Beach.
As Dorian gets closer to Delmarva, a previously planned emergency preparedness workshop takes on new significance. WRDE's Madeline Overturf shows us why a number of Sussex County towns came together to ensure senior citizens stay safe.
The Roxana Fire Station was packed with people Thursday morning, all learning how to prepare for potentially dangerous storms.
Research shows that older adults are disproportionately impacted by these events, and so we wanted to provide outreach and education to give them strategies for, being safe during these events, whether they're sheltering in place or evacuating.
The workshop included instructions on how to create emergency kits and contingency plans and presentations from first responders.
From my point of view is evacuations, when we ask them to evacuate, to leave when we tell them to, because once the storm hits, you're trapped. During Sandy, we had 4 or 5 people in our town that were trapped and we couldn't get to them.
Chief Boyden outlined evacuation routes, something attendees say is key.
Even people who are born here don't know enough about evacuation, and it was very informative for me.
One of the key takeaways from the workshop was to keep your car full of gas, so if you have to evacuate, you can, or if local gas stations run out of gas, you'll be okay. Another key takeaway was to make sure you have a file of lifeguard with you. This has all your medical information, so first responders can easily access it in case they need to rescue you. While Dorian's impact on Delmarva is unclear, lessons learned here will be used far into the future.
We can share this with our neighbors, and if there's any information that they need, more information, they can find it out from the local, authorities and towns.
With coverage you can count on, I'm Madeline Overturf in Roxana for WBOC.
That workshop was hosted by the Delaware Sea Grant and a number of organizations, including the towns of South Bethany, Selbyville, and Fenwick Island.
Wesley College in Dover is seeking help from the state of Delaware as it deals with some financial concerns. As WBOC's Kent County.
Okay, gonna go away from WBOC for a bit. We'll rejoin them in just a second because Dan Satterfield will be giving the complete forecast at around hopefully 6:15. I'm hoping that he will. So right now, I just want to cut to a couple important things here. So this is the 5 p.m. advisory. Let's take a look and see if we can get the 6 p.m. one. Maybe not. Let's see. Is there an update? Okay, here we go. 6 p.m. update. Dorian continues to produce dangerous winds, storm surges, and flooding across portions of the Carolinas. In Bowie and Frying Pan Shoals, North Carolina recently measured sustained winds of 50 miles an hour and a gust of 64 miles. Okay, so that is tropical storm force winds. An observation from Southport, North Carolina recently reported a sustained wind of 50 miles an hour and a wind gust of 60 miles an hour. So right now, here is some location. Of course, we have the minimum central pressure at 960, so let's hope that keeps going up. 45 miles southeast of Myrtle Beach, 75 miles of Wilmington, North Carolina. So we will join the ABC affiliate of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, probably around 6:20. That's the goal right now. I'll keep the feed up as long as I can. I want to, of course, come back with my mic at 8 p.m. And they're going to give another summary at 8 and the major advisory at 11 o'clock tonight. And then at midnight, I'm going to see if I can load you up the models, and then we'll just wrap it up with coverage. 1 a.m. I can definitely be up late tonight because I want to cover this, but I can multitask. I can keep the laptop running and just, I don't know, if I want to watch the football game tonight on NBC. Again, I have a HD feed downstairs that doesn't involve the internet, so that won't be a problem. If lagging won't be a concern on that end. Let's just take a look and get to the 5 p.m. advisory. So let's get to the public advisory. Okay. See what I mean? This is not a good sign right now. So again, well, I can't. Oh, okay. Tropical storm warning is in effect for Fenwick Island, Delaware. Okay, so I'm kind of annoyed why WBOC wasn't that specific. So that is not a good sign. Right, so we have wind affecting South Carolina. Next few hours, North Carolina is going to see something. So, just proves the point. This proves the point. Tornadoes are especially possible in eastern North Carolina and into southeast Virginia. Next, intermediate advisory at 8 p.m. Next, complete advisory at 11 p.m. Okay. So now we will load up tidbits and take a look and see if we can't get the information. Okay, the 18C is slowly loading, so it at least gives us an idea of pretty much what's going on here. So if we can load up the, trying to look for the East Coast. Here we go. All right, excellent. We're now going to pull up the 18C model right now. The model is, again, taking its merry time. That's not important. We at least need to know 48 hours. So let's get an idea. So here it goes. Dumping rain in North Carolina. Then here's the problem. Here's a heavy band of rain that's in Accomack and Northampton. Now we get a better look. So it looks like the worst of it. I do apologize about that. Tries to go east. Hang on here. Little band of rain in eastern Montauk, it seems. And there's Martha's Vineyard getting too close to Comfort. Then we have Newfoundland. And then it goes away. By the way, I want to make an announcement that every Sunday morning I'm going to do a live stream here on my YouTube channel regarding weather conditions for football games in the NFL, because I feel that nobody really talks about weather conditions during football games anymore. So it's just an off-topic thing, but I'll try to do a live stream every Sunday morning around 10:30 or 11 a.m. Eastern, and we'll use AccuWeather.com. That's what we'll use. I won't try to keep it that long. So specifically, we'll go with that. Or I'll just use the National Weather Service. They're more specific when it comes to that information, because I feel that weather is very important to bring up. So nobody really talks about the weather anymore, but still. I remember Mike Francesa used to do it. So anyhow, let's just get into the end. Let's see here. Here we go. And there it goes. So now we'll pull up the NAM, get an idea of what the NAM is suggesting, and then we'll just go to the European model. And what the other thing of it, the Euro doesn't really update that much, so it's not as frequent as the North American model, where the North American, that loads up every 6 hours. Okay, so trying to move a little bit fast. Trying to. And then, again, I do apologize. You know, that's what happens when you try to rely on tidbits. Yeah, I wish tidbits would just be more consistent. By the way, I just want to mention that Florida has been spared. Majority of Florida has been spared. I just want to mention that Broward got spared. That's excellent. I was very worried about Broward, but my friends down there are perfectly fine in Boca and Coral Springs. So if they're watching, you guys made it through another one. So let's just continue on. Look at this. Still the Carolinas. And then you get that heavy band of rain that gets too close to Accomack right now. So there it goes. We have it moving east. And this is why they're concerned about Somerset, is that potentially the tides could affect the wind. And that's what could cause the flooding. So that's another cause of concern I have with this storm. Now, as far as what Dan Satterfield suggested earlier, this could be a Cat 2. So a Cat 2 meaning, well, even though it's offshore, Delmarva, and especially Accomack and Northampton in this scenario could see something. NWS Wakefield, so we'll check their Twitter, and then we'll also check Mount Holly. Okay, this is very alarming right now. Here's what Wakefield has just tweeted. A tornado, let me retweet this. I think this is very important. A tornado warning has been issued for parts of North Carolina and Virginia until 7 a.m. Eastern. Okay, so that is very concerning. Very concerning. Okay, here we go. I don't see anything specific here. Here we go. Watches have been issued. Watches have been issued. Okay. So we need to quickly keep an eye on Delmarva. So that could be something that needs to be monitored. Hurricane warning. Okay, so North Carolina seeing the hurricane warning. All right then. Let's check NWS Mount Holly. They do have a briefing. Here we go. Tropical storm force winds are expected for Fenwick Island, Delaware, tomorrow into tomorrow night. Minor coastal flooding possible for the Delaware and New Jersey coastline. All right, so that's why I'm glad they mentioned Delaware. Can we check to see if Dan Satterfield... Okay, Dan Satterfield is live right now. Let's go back to WBOC.
Going 20 to 25 miles an hour. as it moves off to the east. And again, the high winds are only right around in here, although there's pretty gusty winds in this area, and that's what we're going to feel. By gusty, I mean 40, 45. And look at this, it is really close to Wilmington in North Carolina, but I think it will stay just offshore. We have been seeing a bit of a jog more to the east, and that may turn out to be a change in direction. If it does turn that quickly and misses the Outer Banks, our situation will be better here on Delmarva. A lot of cloud cover from this thing already covering the area. Tropical storm warning for southern Delmarva. Sussex County, Delaware, not included in that. You have to draw the line somewhere, and this is a good spot. Now, the offshore waters, though, of Sussex County do have a tropical storm warning all the way to Atlantic City. The clouds holding our temperatures down today, the heat down to the south where the sun is shining. Live picture from the Boardwalk Plaza Hotel there, 71, some pretty good swells offshore. They will increase dramatically overnight. Afternoon high was 78 Salisbury, 77 in Dover, 81 in D.C. Right now we're in the low 70s out there, 71 in Rehoboth, 75 at Wallops Island. The winds have definitely jumped up here in the last hour or so. 23 in Ocean City, gusting to 24 at Tangier, northeast at 10 to 22, 10 to 20 miles per hour rather in Georgetown. This is our what we call our RPM model. I'm showing you what the forecast wind gusts are. We think this is, I think this one's pretty good. Now, as we go through the night, not that bad, but by say 4:45 a.m., 29 in Melfa, Ocean City about 25. 34 in Melfa at 8:45 a.m. And you'll see it jump up briefly to 50 in Melfa, 31 in Ocean City, jumping up to 45 by around 5:30, right on the coast. Around 5:30 tomorrow will be the worst of it. And then things will start to really get better by 8 o'clock tomorrow night. So there's some good news there. It's going to be windy, really windy. We're going to get some surf, but the heaviest rain's probably going to be well down to our south. Forecast tomorrow, tropical storm conditions. We stay in the 70s, inland winds gusting to 40, but on the beaches, a gust to 55. Beautiful weekend, though. Dry air comes in on the backside of that hurricane, and maybe some spotty showers on Monday with a weak front, but a pretty fall-like looking 7-day forecast there. We'll keep you updated.
All right, Dan, thanks. WVOC News at 6 is coming right back, but first we fly through the midshore.
Here's Captain Willie Dykes with tonight's Proud to Serve.
At the head of the Wye River is the small community of Wye Mills.
No disrespect to Captain Willie, but we have a hurricane that's damaging the Carolinas right now. I like Willie Dykes. He does host Outdoors Delmarva, but Willie, you're going to have to be put on hold for the next 24 to 48 hours. We love you, Willie, but not tonight, buddy. Sorry. So let's check Twitter notifications right now. All right, thank you to our fans, Fantastic Joel 03 and Cuomo Corruption. They are our super fans, so of course they get a shout out, of course. Super fans are pretty much our followers on Twitter that contribute to the Andy's Randomness social media network. So they will occasionally get shout outs whenever the time comes, especially when it relates to the quality of life thing. Again, we're trying to stay on topic, please. So, right now, what I'm going to take you to do right now, we're going to go right now to WPDE. We'll go to WPDE right now. We'll link up with them. That is the ABC affiliate of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So, we'll see if they are live right now. Dorian is passing by the Grand Strand. So there we go. So right now, we will link up with WPDE in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. They are the ABC affiliate down there. So we have the live event. So let's see if we can hook up with them. All right, here we go. Let's try to get to the live feed. Let me get to the live feed
as well. You see the lighter greens here indicating lighter rain, and obviously the yellows indicating some heavier rain that are moving to the south and west. With some of these areas of yellow, if you will, those are showers.
I do apologize, folks. We have lost the feed of WPDE in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We will link up with them in just a second. So hang on, something isn't right here. I don't know why we can outlaw WPDE. I may have to take that call later. That's not really important right now. If that was my mom, I would pick up. It's a close friend of mine. I'll have to text him back. Let's see, can I... There's no way to ignore him. I wish there was a way to ignore people on an iPhone, but I guess not. Okay, I will talk to him later, because right now I'm going to eat dinner. Okay, again, can we try to link up with them? Okay, again, we are having a very hard time trying to get to the ABC affiliate of Myrtle Beach, so let's try to get to them.
Still going to crest, most likely.
Yeah, again, I'm just at a loss right now. Why isn't this working? Folks, I completely apologize.
As we're heading toward 9 o'clock, there's still plenty of rain out there.
Can we just rewind back?
I know that's not good for the Waccamaw River, but even the Waccamaw River, when it gets into
we may have to be in a few seconds away.
Futurecast shows plenty of rain out there for the afternoon.
I do apologize. The live feed's not working, so here's WPDE right now. Up, and there we go again. We just lost speed.
Locations inland, 40s and 50s along the coast. Florence at 41 now, a 53-mile-per-hour wind gust in Myrtle Beach and 45 right now in the city of Georgetown. Here are the peak winds across the area. 40-mile-per-hour winds or higher considered tropical. Now, a 53-mile-per-hour wind gust in Myrtle Beach and 45 right now in the city of Georgetown. Here are the peak winds across the area. 40-mile-per-hour winds or higher considered tropical storm force. 74 or higher would be hurricane force. Plenty of tropical storm force wind gust out there, but we have yet to see a hurricane force wind, and I personally would be fine with that. 61 is the peak wind gust in North Myrtle Beach over the course of this day. Let's take a look at Futurecast, and again, widespread areas of 30s and 40s inland, gusting in the 50s right along the immediate coast, and it's possible the winds never get any higher than that as we head through the next couple of hours, but I think by 9 o'clock we could have some wind gusts in the 40s and 50s. Then the wind is slowly but surely going to be coming to an end here. Perhaps a few wind gusts in the 30s and 40s as we head through midnight. This may be a bit overdone. And then definitely as we head through the overnight hours, our winds will begin to subside. They won't go dead calm by any stretch of the imagination, but they will at least fall back into the 20s just about everywhere. So our primary concern right now is not necessarily the wind. The kind of wind that we're getting now is not damaging wind typically. We are concerned about the amount of rain that's falling in the area, especially over Horry and Georgetown counties. The place is saturated. You don't want to be out there right now. Hopefully later on tonight and through tomorrow, things will begin to wind down and begin to dry out. Thankfully, the weather looks really, really nice. An extended period of very nice weather for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. All right, let's send it back over to Trey and Summer.
Thank you, sir. We are working for you up and down our coast from the Grand Strand to the PD. And of course, in the border belt, take a look at this map. We have crews at all of these locations working for you around the clock. Again, we will be out in these conditions so you do not have to. I know things look a little bit better right now, but still stay inside, play it safe. Let us inform you and give you live shots. Hurricane Dorian still battering the Carolinas, slowly moving north. That's the good news, I guess.
Yeah, Natasha Chen is on the ground in Charleston, South Carolina tonight with the latest.
Well, nearly 250,000 customers are out of power in 3 states right now, the bulk of which are here in South Carolina. Across the state of South Carolina, there are no reported fatalities Thursday afternoon, but officials are warning people to be careful still not to go out as flooding is a major issue here.
This downed power line in the streets of Charleston is one of multiple hazards brought by Dorian to the Carolinas. The wind is taking down trees and power lines. The heavy rain is flooding low-lying areas.
Largely, everyone has heeded the warning to stay off of the roadways. We still have dangerous conditions present.
Dorian is even spawning tornadoes. In Little River, just north of Myrtle Beach, residents were startled awake by a loud noise.
We just heard the loud rumbling noise. Kind of sounds like a train.
In North Carolina, the National Weather Service shared this image of a possible tornado near Wilmington. And in Emerald Isle, Byron Cox and his father Simon also rode out a tornado.
I've never seen anything like this in my entire life.
North Carolina's Governor Roy Cooper said he's activated more of the state's National Guard soldiers and urged residents to stay alert.
Get to safety and stay there. Don't let your guard down.
In South Carolina, flooding remains a chief concern. This video taken in Charleston shows high water moving quickly in the streets. Dozens of roads in the city are also closed. This business owner is hoping for the best on the other side of the storm.
Fortunately, we'll be back open this weekend. The sun will be out. Those poor people in the Bahamas, have years to regroup. But, we'll be all good in a couple of days.
And there are still 35 shelters open across the state of South Carolina. Even as a few places are starting to lift evacuation orders, we are hearing of new mandatory orders farther north in places like Virginia Beach. In Charleston, South Carolina, Natasha Chen, back to you.
All right, so we want to check back in now with Amanda Kensett, who's live in Garden City. Ed just told us that the big issue right now is rainfall. So are you seeing a lot of rain right there?
Hey, I think...
Uh-oh. Sounds like the wind's an issue there.
I think, did you toss us? Okay, yeah, here we are. We're here in Garden City. I tell you what, it depends on the timing and where you are for the wind. And now this is feeling like wind that we're used to during these hurricanes. Of course, we are in somewhat of a wind tunnel here, but it has intensified a lot since earlier. I don't know if you can see the water kind of skating across the ground and whatnot. But the reason we're under here is I wanted to show you this. This is just something that happens when you get that wind, and all it takes is it getting under a little, little corner. All it needs is a little bit of a piece of surface area, and then it can rip it right off. They actually, over here on the other side, they took preventative measures to take that ceiling part down, so that it wouldn't come off. I think we showed you these earlier. They were that way over there. Now it seems the wind has shifted and now it's coming through the other way. So definitely we've noticed a difference with that. So this kind of wind will really test your balance and how well you can stay on 2 feet. Coming back to the beach side again, it's not even pouring here. Now I know some areas are going to get a lot of rain. But that's not really the issue here right now.
Border belt areas for you. So it looks like the numbers are getting a little bit better each time we check in. I'm going to refresh this for you one more time, but things are looking a little bit better.
And I have the same information to report to you from the electric cooperatives of South Carolina. That big number I keep reporting to you, 63,000 right now. Before it was probably in the dark as well, some areas of Florence, but the majority there in the Charleston, Georgetown, Murrells Inlet area. But again, just how quickly they're getting this back up. I know 63,000 are still without power, but 10,000 over the last several hours have been restored. So that's great to see.
Absolutely. All right. And of course, the PD, that hasn't been a major issue at all today as far as power outages, at least not according to some of our electric cooperatives maps.
This one's showing about 41 outages
PD, anyway.
reported here. This is Ori Electric, I think we had just up. Now we're on PD.
Yeah.
Now where'd we go? Okay, here's Ori Electric. Sorry about that, folks. Ori Electric, 41 outages reported, members affected 3,629. So this still has a decent little chunk of folks affected, but even this number's been going down quite a bit, so that's good to see. If you are in the dark, just know things are getting back up and running relatively quickly here, so don't be too worried just yet anyway that you're going to be in the dark for a whole lot longer.
All right, and once the storm passes, you won't be able to burn anything until given the all clear. Right now, there is a burn ban in place across the state. Officials say they know it may seem odd, a little unusual for there to be a burn ban because it's raining outside. But here's the deal. Most emergency personnel resources are committed to responding to the storm, so they won't be able to help out if there is a fire or if something would happen, say, inside your home.
Right. There are several schools closed tomorrow. Several are now open, though. So right now, this is what we know. The following schools are still closed tomorrow: Horry and Georgetown County, Robeson and Scotland County, Dillon 3 and 4, and Marion County. Florence 2, 3, 4, and 5 will operate on a 2-hour delay. We've got a full running list on our website as well. And we just found out Marlborough County schools will be open tomorrow. These are coming into our newsroom relatively quickly right now. I'm on an email thread with it.
Yeah.
We keep getting new emails, I'd say, every few minutes from schools saying we're closed, we're open. So check WPDE.com. We'll keep checking in right here on ABC 15 News, but WPDE.com, they're working hard to make sure that list is up to date for you.
We are on a chain right now, so
Yes.
we'll keep updating you on that. Right now, South Carolina's National Guard's jet fleet is in Fort Worth, Texas. The Guard evacuated the F-16 fighter jets just as a precaution. Don't worry. The Guardsmen are still on base. Officials say they are here and will continue disaster support operations for as long as deteriorating weather conditions allow. So they're here, they're available. Hopefully we won't need them. It looks like we're okay for now, so that's a good thing. Yeah. Turning now to Annabelle, where storm surge has been a huge problem for many neighborhoods. You can see streets may be impassable because of all that water right there, but local wildlife, they seem to be enjoying the wet weather there.
They seemed happy.
Yeah.
They liked the wet weather. They didn't seem too concerned about it. We got a lot of those Canadian geese around here, or Canada geese. Canada geese. Sorry about that. I know what it is. All right, thanks to Hurricane Dorian, much of the Bahamas now look like a war zone.
Yeah.
This is so sad because they got this as a Category 5, and we have been so spared in that sense. This is what's left of a Western aircraft hangar in Freeport. You can see the hurricane force winds just destroyed the metal walls on the building there. Things are hanging. It's just wide open. Look at that. And we are getting a new look at the sheer power of Hurricane Dorian.
Yeah, this is what the Abacos Islands look like right now. Hard to look at. This was one of the communities in the Bahamas that took a direct hit from Dorian earlier this week when it was a Category 5. Imagine that. That's what a Category 5 hurricane will do. And, you hate to look at that. A lot of people have spent many a vacation there. I've been there once, one of my favorite places to go. I know you haven't, but you've always wanted to go.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go there. And I mean, the fact that it just sat over them, you can't come up with a worse scenario.
Right, in a Category 5 too. I mean, it just looks like it flattened everything, but they'll rebuild, and we'll keep you updated on that as well. I want to show you some pictures now of the goats from Goat Island. This might brighten your day. What does that say?
Barn lights ain't bad.
Bad, get it?
Get it?
Yeah, I'm so happy about those goats. I tell you what, people were so concerned about those goats on Goat Island there at the Marsh Walk. We got more traffic on our website about those goats. And what was best, if you haven't seen this too, it was trying to get the goats off Goat Island because, they don't leave right now. They were not ready to go. And those goats really got those Wranglers goat.
They didn't realize what a life they had. Look at this. They're having a hurricane barn party. So if they had maybe known ahead of time where they were going, they were getting kind of like a nice treatment here.
Well, in the meantime, we still have that video of the goats being evacuated on the ABC 15 Facebook page if you want to laugh right now. I know it's been kind of a stressful day, a stressful week for a lot of us. So go there, check that out. You won't be disappointed, I don't think. At least 6 U.S. citizens are back home after being rescued from the Bahamas. That's good. Tropic Ocean Airways brought the group back to Florida following a relief mission. In the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian, the airline has sent 8 planes to the Bahamas to deliver aid and medical personnel. It's going to come in really handy, I'm sure. They also sent teams who will help distribute supplies and set up communication lines. Now, along with basic needs like food and water and generators, they brought a small airboat and ATVs. At least 20 people that we know of right now were killed in the Bahamas when Hurricane Dorian hit earlier this week.
Dorian caused some serious damage. Take a look at this Paradise Hotel in Myrtle Beach. You can see a section of the siding is being peeled off right there by the wind. Many of those sections came completely off once our cameras stopped rolling. So this is not the worst of it, unfortunately. Right. We're told, our reporter says, after that camera went off, more of it came down. We've seen that in the past. We see siding come off quite often.
Yeah, but you know what? The good news is it's standing, and then it can be repainted and rebuilt, refurbished.
Right. That's not too bad considering.
Don't forget about the WPDE weather app. It will give you 24/7 weather alerts, and you'll be able to monitor the radar throughout the night. Just head to your app store, search WPDE WX. Don't forget to download the WPDE News app. That's anytime. We'll give you updates on any news that happens. So when we get breaking news, you'll get breaking news. You'll be able to watch us live on your phone too. If your power goes out, you'll also get news alerts. Just look for us in your app store and on Google Play. All you need to do is type in WPDE.
Let's go ahead and take a look at a video we've got here on Twitter I'd like to show you. Zach Covey just tweeted this about 9 minutes ago. This is video out of Garden City. High tide coincided with the storm surge. A lot of roadways flooding near the pier and the arcade. Ethan Lester sent in this video. This is not what we want to see. Look at that. That's supposed to be a road. And that's just,
so where is this exactly?
Is just river. This is in Garden City.
Yeah, that right there is Atlantic Avenue that goes down to the pier.
Let's see, I'll try to pause this right at the street sign and see what
the arcade is on the right. Sam's Corner is right there next to the arcade. That's what we were talking about earlier when all those roads look like a lake. So yeah, what you're looking at, that's the road that takes you down to the Waccamaw Boulevard right there, and it's underwater. When was that taken?
Zach, do you have any idea when was that video taken?
That was taken just after high tide.
What time?
So around 1:30.
Around 1:30. Okay,
well, hopefully that water's gone down since then.
My goodness, that's I think the worst we've seen.
Yeah, Garden City really got hit with a lot of water this time, and we've heard Surfside too got hit with some water as well. Taking a look at the roads now, I believe this is a section of 544 near 17 that was closed. Grand Strand Water and Sewer crews say the closure is being caused by a busted pipe. Small sections of sidewalk are also caving in, we're told. So that's the situation there.
I do apologize, everybody. The live feed is having issues with ABC down there, so we're gonna have to go to a plan B and figure out if we can get the NBC affiliate for Myrtle Beach. Do apologize. I was just about to eat dinner. I had a phone call I had to get to because, you know. I do apologize, everybody. The live feed is having issues with. Whoa, okay, so sorry. I am so sorry about that, folks. Did not mean to do that. Can we try to get the NBC affiliate of Myrtle Beach right now? Can't figure that out. I don't see anything. WMBF, right? Okay. So let's see if we can get the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina affiliate of NBC right now. It looks like we can. All right, that's excellent. Let's see if they are live right now. All right, we do have a live feed. We do have a live feed.
Kind of rocked a little bit.
I'm hearing something through my headphones.
Up and down North Ocean Boulevard, kind of exploring this
okay,
area
folks, here we are right now. We're going to watch WMBF
smaller tree limbs and vegetation
Myrtle
beginning
Beach,
to fall,
South Carolina.
Nothing too big, but we're going to be sure to keep an eye out on that. I'm reporting here in North Myrtle Beach. Ken Baker, WMBF News.
Well, that storm is picking up in Surf City, North Carolina.
Yeah, that's where we find Gray Media's Anna Phillips, where she says the waves there are crashing on top of each other, something that we've been seeing here throughout the day.
Yeah.
Here in Surf City, waves are crashing on waves, and the wind has really picked up in the last 20 minutes, I would say. We're starting to see sea foam really getting thrown down the beach, and the sand that is blowing up from the beach has really picked up. That's why I'm standing the way that I'm standing and holding my hood the way that I'm holding it. If you can see over my shoulder, you're looking at the Surf City Pier. I'm going to step out, let you get a really good look at the ocean here. This is the Surf City Pier again. Now, just about an hour ago, it was a cloud of hard, heavy rain. We could hardly see it from where we are right now, but things have actually lightened up. We've gotten a little break in the rain here lately, but the ocean, the waves are crashing on top of waves. I'll tell you, I had to squint and look and say to myself, is that a boat out there? It was not, of course. It was a huge white cap, waves crashing as far out as I can see in the ocean. If you look at this property, the owners here tell me that the tide line, where the water is coming up right now, it's pretty normal for this time of day. But of course, the wave height, the breaking of the waves, this is all much stronger than any normal day. Another interesting tidbit, the owners here say before Hurricane Florence, 1 year ago, they had a yard right here with grass and a deck that extended out onto the beach. But Hurricane Florence took that all away, and they are awaiting a beach renourishment project to potentially build that back. So right now, this is it, and they're hoping this will be enough to protect them from whatever storm surge Hurricane Dorian brings. Now, we're in Surf City on the island of Topsail Island, which was under a mandatory evacuation. All of North Carolina's barrier islands are under a mandatory evacuation that was issued by Governor Roy Cooper. That went into full effect as of 8 o'clock last night. So at this point, everyone who is here in Surf City on Topsail Island is committed to riding out this storm. We're bunkering down, and we'll keep you updated throughout. Reporting in Surf City, I'm Anna Phillips.
We have an update now on the power outages in our area. As of 6:45, just about 3 minutes ago, Santee Cooper is reporting more than 10,000 customers without power.
Warrior Electric is reporting more than 3,600 are without power, and close to 2,000 of those are in the area of Nixonville substation.
And in Florence, Duke Energy says more than 4,000 of you customers are in the dark there.
We're taking you back to one of the many areas we've been covering that's dealt with massive amounts of flooding.
Yeah, so much so we have two reporters there, Sam Kummerer, and also we go now to Casey Watson, who has more now from Pawleys Island.
Right now I'm standing off of Ocean Highway in the Pawleys Island area. You can see right here, this area, water has accumulated along the roads. See this stop sign here, along with that red light sign down the way, that water is halfway up that sign, along with the shrubs and the road. You cannot even see the road down there. This is a combination of the high tide, that storm surge, and the amount of wind that we have seen come into the Grand Strand area over the last 24 hours or so from Hurricane Dorian, and we're continuing to expect this rain to fall ever more so and not lighten up in the next couple of hours. But these road conditions, there is a curfew in effect, and all law enforcement agencies are asking people to stay off the roads. This wind, you can see some gusts coming through right now. They're very strong. We were in our car and we actually kind of had to hunker down there for a few minutes because that wind was rocking our car back and forth, and we were unsure whether our car was going to stay there or move across the road or not. So we decided to turn back and come a little bit more inland, away from where those heavy gusts of wind are. Stay tuned here for more information surrounding Hurricane Dorian in Pawleys Island. I'm Casey Watson.
All right, thanks for your reports there, Casey. Now we're going to go all the way up the coast to North Myrtle Beach, where Kate Merriman has been throughout the day, showing us everything from storm surge to flooding to trees down.
I think right now she has a little bit of storm debris to talk about. Kate?
Hey, Eric and Meredith, we were driving around in North Myrtle Beach when we spotted this area. Now, if I keep walking over here, this flooding right here just keeps getting deeper. We're in the Pines on 11th Avenue North, but that's not the only thing happening in this community. I want to show you this. Take a look at this heavy debris over here. Right here, we don't know where it came from, but it's not matching the community. But just take a look at it. It's here, it's over here. They've got trees around the area. It's just debris all over, and the parking lot is also flooded here. This is the guest spots, but like I said, it's about ankle deep here, and if I keep going, it just keeps getting deeper. So, you know, like I said, heavy debris flying over here. We've got trees, or mini trees here, branches rather, and the floodwaters that are right here. So, yeah, again, this is on 11th Avenue North. This is called the Pines in North Myrtle Beach. Kate Merriman, live in North Myrtle Beach, WMBF News.
All right, thanks, Kate. And the South Carolina Red Cross says they have all hands on deck as volunteers have been getting ready for the aftermath of Dorian.
Yeah, the organization says they have 19 shelters open across the state, as well as meals and snacks for those of you seeking shelter. Now, this includes the shelters that are located at the North Myrtle Beach High School, the Loris High School, Conway High School, Ainer Middle School, and Plantersville Elementary School.
We shared more information about the shelters. That's available on WMBFnews.com. Just look for this story. You have it right here on your screen, and that is on the Live Links page.
And where are we going now, guys? We're going to check back with... Okay. Let's take some of the video that we've been gathering up here in the newsroom of the different things you've been experiencing as you wait out Hurricane Dorian with us. Right now, boy, this has been the talk of the day, I think. This is where Patrick Lloyd's been all day. There is a Jeep that has been between 36th and 37th Avenue right there at the ocean, and we've watched the water go up. We've kind of used it as a gauge. At one point, the water was about halfway up that Jeep, covering the wheels. Then we watched the water recede. It's kind of been a good index or a good indicator for us to see just how high the level is for the water.
Yeah, it's been a great indicator. And these pictures you see right here were taken soon after it was actually abandoned. A friend of the station sent them in, and it has become a spectacle since. So you're seeing it here before that water came in with the storm surge. So, you know, not much flooding had gotten into the car. I'm curious what the car looks like on the inside right now.
No. What we do know, though, is it turned into a spectacle where so many people were coming out against what we were advising and what emergency officials were advising. They were coming out taking cell phone pictures and videos and standing and getting on top of the hood with the Jeep. And then the police came out and they started issuing tickets because, of course, as we've been telling you, you are not allowed to be out there during the height of the storm.
They were doing everything. Apparently that's been on CNN, Fox, NBC today. It's making its rounds. But making its rounds here, more importantly, we had power lines down today. This was at near highways 501 and 544. That was just some of the damage that we've seen on the power lines. Lots of people have lost their power. Santee Cooper, Oi Electric are in the process now of getting your power back on. We've heard from them earlier in the show. We had a live interview with Tracy Veerland, who told us that they are doing everything they can to get your power up and running. But until then, they say, please do not use candles. We also heard from Midway Fire Rescue, Mark Nugent. He said, please don't use candles. Please make sure your generators are outside. They don't want any fire calls.
Yeah, because we are still getting a lot of power outages at this point. I have viewers and friends who are emailing and texting me saying their power just went out, and that is what Mark Nugent was saying, that his fear is that once the power goes out, people turn to alternate sources for light and for energy, and so they do things like candles, and they also do things like generators. And the fear about the generator is that if you use one, you must use one outdoors. Do not even put it in your garage, even if it's a detached garage, because those generators emit carbon monoxide, and that can lead to a lot of problems. Unfortunately, when we have hurricanes and different types of problems from Mother Nature, we tend to, when generators are in use, we tend to cover stories where people use them. They do not bring them outdoors, and then we're covering deaths, unfortunately, caused by carbon monoxide from those generators.
Right, and I've knock on wood, so far so good. We have not had any of those calls today. It seems that everyone's been heeding those warnings on how to work them. And you did see some Waffle House pictures. We can bring those back up. There they are. That is our neighborhood Waffle House. We actually had breakfast from there this morning. And speaking of unofficial gauges here, like we've been using the Jeep as one to kind of measure the storm surge there, how deep it was getting, the roughness of the waves. The Waffle House, I can't talk right now, been talking for 7 hours, is an unofficial gauge of measuring how people are taking the severity of the storms, whether they close or not. Waffle House runs by that saying, last to close, first to open, and it was packed this morning. That was as the main parts of the storm were heading in.
Yeah, and it was interesting to me this year finding out during this hurricane season that actually the emergency officials, some of them, I don't know how serious they do take it, but they do look at the Waffle House and actually see if they're closing as a gauge to how bad the storm could be. So that is something that everyone has their eyes on, not just the customers, but apparently emergency officials as well, as we try to gauge just how strong, in this case, Hurricane Dorian is or is going to be. Look at this.
Yes.
This is a situation where we are, I believe this is right by...
This is Glens Bay Road,
yep.
yes.
And that's a situation where we talk about how we know there's some construction going on there. You see all that debris flying around. That's the reason why we've been telling you days before this hurricane even approached to go ahead and clear that debris from your yard. I know I took a day on Monday of this past week to clear the trees that were hanging over onto my neighbor's home because I was afraid that the storm would do damage and make those trees fall onto her house. So that was a perfect example of why you need to clear that debris so that it's not flying around or cannot, be objects going through the air when the hurricane comes through with those strong winds.
Right, and the viewer that sent that in actually said they heard a loud bang, and you could kind of see when it happened because they kind of jumped back, and you could tell it was a little startled, and those trees were just swaying there. Now we're going to look at a tree that fell out. This was one of many trees, unfortunately, that we have seen pictures of, video of today that fell out of the ground. Pulled out of the ground. Well,
this is in Calabash, North Carolina, I believe. This is in the Farm, which is a neighborhood there. A lot of those homes were just being built, and they think a tornado is what came through their neighborhood. Of course, we will not be able to definitely determine that until the emergency officials come by. And then there was the turtle that we found on the beach.
And I actually have an update to this turtle. So Kate Merriman sent this in. She saw this up in North Myrtle Beach. I had Tony Casey from Florence County, excuse me, not Tony Casey, I'm sorry, Mr. Tony Casey with Ord County Fire Rescue, Tony Fowler from Florence County, that sent me a message and said that this is probably a snapping turtle that got caught in the storm drains with all that water that was rushing around and has made its way onto the beach. Hopefully that turtle is back in its home now, found the right place to be. I don't think they belong on the beach.
Let's hope so. I know Kate said that there were reports from other people that she spoke with on the beach there that was not the only turtle that they saw. There were, in fact, several of them. All right, right now we are looking through a live traffic cam shot of US 501 North. This is at Singleton Ridge, and you can see that people are starting to make their way on the roads again. The good news here is I don't see very much ponding on the roads, but if you look to the side, you can see the gathering in the ditches there. A lot of water standing there.
And you can see on the bottom right hand of your screen those stoplights in the wind there, also in the middle where it's a green light right now. And then if you look on the right side of your screen, you can also see that the lights there at our tin roof, at the tin roof, that's our Vines sky camera, that they're also shaking. So it must be a big gust of wind going through the beach right now. But then look up, and those ones aren't so breezy up there.
Yeah, it's really a different scenario in every camera you look at. The Vines camera is showing that it definitely is so rainy in that area. And when you look at 501 at Singleton Ridge, that is normally a roadway that is typically packed, and on a Thursday evening at 7 o'clock typically would be packed, but I'm happy to say that there is very little traffic on that roadway at this hour, and that's good news because really, like we've been saying all day long, if you can wait until tomorrow before you get out and about, that would be your safest bet because we're really looking for a completely different picture come Friday.
Absolutely. Now I think we have some video coming in from Calabash that was taken on Slipper Rock Way and Fence Post Lane. Is that coming up, Brian?
All right, yeah, that's that video that we talked about. See, there's those homes in the farm at Calabash right there in North Carolina where you see the roof. Look at that roof just ripped off, and some of these homes were just being built, so that is definitely a shame there.
Yeah, sad stuff there, but we have learned no one died, no one was hurt very badly in that incident, and now we're going to take things out to Ian Klein. Now, not sure where Ian is now. He has been all over the place today from Highway 701.
Oh, now he's in Garden City.
Now he's in Garden City.
Ian, what's the situation there?
Yeah. Well, I finally made it to the beach. I was inland all day, so I made it to the beach, and there's a significant difference from when I was in Conway to now here in Garden City. Literally, the gusts of wind have been pushing me several feet. Even Aaron Ladd, who we saw a little bit earlier, we've been pushed away. You can see kind of the trees behind me. This one behind me, this palm tree, has pretty much been just ripped to shreds at the top. Most of the palms at the top just kind of been taken off by the wind so far. Even we've seen a few awnings and things in this area. You can see the grass just kind of completely bent. And you can also see over here with the sand mound that they built, how much has kind of deteriorated, whether it's been from kind of the erosion of the rain and the erosion as well, kind of from what we've seen with the storm surge earlier today. Now, like I said, definitely right now I've noticed the wind picking up. Obviously coming off of the ocean, you're not gonna have that kind of protection that you would as we were inland, but still. And Meredith and Eric, you were talking about people getting back on the roads not too long ago. We're starting to see that here. A few little of these public accesses, people have been coming out of their homes just to see what's going on, seeing if the storm's weakening, if it's still going on. The rain obviously still going on in this area. The rain going to continue throughout most of the evening. Surprisingly, I've been able to stay dry using kind of this weather gear, so you're just kind of switching up the socks and trying to stay as dry as you can as you're out here most of the day. But if you're indoors, the best thing to do right now is stay indoors. Aaron Ladd and I were talking a little bit about the football game tonight. Hopefully we can catch that later this evening, but we'll keep you guys updated here in Garden City, and if you guys have any pictures and updates about what's going on in your neck of the woods, be sure to let us know. Reporting live in Garden City, Ian Klein, WMBF News.
Okay, we're going to take a live look now. This is at US 17 North at Highway 22 there, where you can see it's pretty windy, pushing those raindrops across that camera, and not a lot of people on the road.
And that is what we like to see, no one on the roadways there, because clearly the system is still going through that area as you see all that rain and all that wind. Definitely not a place you want to be. And look at the traffic lights up there as well. They're swaying and flashing. So Mother Nature is definitely doing a little number on that area right there. Again, that's US 17 North at SC 22 as we continue to take live looks through our traffic cam. And if we look down at the bottom right corner, that is through our Vines cam, and you can see there a same situation. In fact, even more rain, I believe, and you can see those lights that are dangling right there, those holiday lights that are swaying in the wind.
The tin roof vibe there.
Yeah.
At the tin roof, those are their lights there. But more good news coming from that. You can tell again that the water has gone back out. It's not as far in as it used to be. Now we're going to talk about some curfews.
Yeah, multiple places have curfews that are now in effect. Horry County and the city of Conway both have curfews from 7 tonight, so that just started 2 minutes ago, till 7 tomorrow morning, so 12 hours there. Loris also has a curfew beginning at 7 tonight, so it's underway until further notice.
And Robeson County, we've told you, has issued a curfew for 11 o'clock tonight. That's in effect until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And again, Surfside Beach has a curfew until further notice.
We want to take you back to Murrells Inlet, where we're getting another look at that marsh walk. We showed you some pictures earlier, and we'd like to go back there. I know that the Goat Island that everyone keeps an eye on, they've evacuated those goats days ago, but that's a good thing because the water was definitely starting to collect right there at Goat Island. We have Casey Watson there. We're going to check back with her in just a bit. First, though.
And now we're going to take things to Robert Whitehurst until we can get back to Casey with an update of the marsh walk.
Yeah, the good news is the water levels down there are beginning to drop. Now that we're past high tide, we're actually pushing towards low tide. The winds have switched back offshore. Our surge threat is over with. We'll have another high tide around 2 a.m. or so tomorrow morning. That one we're not concerned with. Again, the onshore winds are now coming to an end, just blowing out. In fact, you can tell here with the waves, notice how clean they are before they come crashing down. The wind's blowing up underneath them. It keeps that nice and curved there. You notice our other camera looking pretty similar as well. Let's take a look at the wind gusts right now. They are still gusting into the 50s up and down the Grand Strand right now, 52 in North Myrtle Beach and Myrtle Beach. Seeing some improvements inland, maybe seeing some power outages out here. If we're not getting a number on here, that typically means that reporting station is no longer getting power. We saw a lot of that with Matthew, and Marion County looks to not be reporting right now. We've had scattered power outages across the area, even inland, where the winds have been gusting into the 40s at times. We're going to keep the winds very gusty here through the remainder of this evening. They will start to improve, though, as we push towards 10 to 11 o'clock tonight. Still can see some gusts to 60, 65, mainly right on the coast. The rest of Horry County and Georgetown County could see some gusts into the 50s, lower 50s, and then 40s inland. Still enough to bring down some trees with the amount of rain that we've seen here over the last 12 hours. And then as we have through early Friday morning, it all begins to clear out. So some big improvements tomorrow morning. Still have the flash flood warning in place. And you notice the rainfall totals here. Surfside Beach over 10 inches right now. Sockasty getting into the 9s. Myrtle Beach close to 9. And we've seen a lot of radar estimated rain totals in the 8 to 9 inch rain across a good chunk of Horry County. We'll likely see another couple inches on top of that. Those have a lot of place to go right now, so we'll start to see that back up on the roadways, and through this evening, you're going to see a lot of ponding on the roadways. The core of the storm continues to push off to the north. We continue with, again, the heavy rain bands rolling in here through 9 to 10, and then as we push towards midnight, a few showers lingering, and then the rain quickly begins to clear out. In fact, could get some sunnier skies in here by Friday afternoon. By the weekend, it is long gone. So unlike the last few systems, this one is not going to stick around. Here's that flash flood warning that's in place. This is the one that goes through 9:30 tonight, so still have a couple hours here. And this is the area that's seen the most rainfall and has the highest likelihood of seeing additional heavy rainfall through this evening. But most of the area now seeing a big shield of light to moderate steady rain rolling in from the north. The heaviest, though, continues to be in these little bands rolling in. Especially this one right here. Some very heavy rain from Longs, and that pushes very close to the Tanger outlets here in North Myrtle Beach and just off the coast. And with these heavier rain bands is where you get some of these stronger wind gusts. Could see some gusts into the 60 range with that one. There's the center of the storm. This is where the strongest winds are. We're seeing sustained winds in here with 110 miles per hour. With the motion of this storm, it's going to keep them away from South Carolina, but areas from Wilmington and to the south in the Cape Fear region will be tapping into this, and they can see wind gusts pushing into the 80s and 90s through the remainder of this evening. So we're continuing to miss out on that. That is some very good news. Sean, still down at Surfside, seeing some improvements down there with the surge threat we had earlier, but still very rainy and very windy down there.
Oh, definitely windy, but I really love how you pointed out how clean the waves are, because we're seeing that too here in Surfside Beach. I mean, earlier this afternoon it was very, very rough. I mean, it was choppy pretty much all the way out as far as you could see. Now, I mean, it's definitely dirty, it's definitely churned up, but it is a lot more clean and a lot more calm going forward. We're also noticing that reverse tide you guys were talking about too, where the wind is actually kind of pushing back the tide, especially now that we're at low tide as well. So we're going to continue to watch conditions improve. Overall, no significant impacts or damage to any of the dunes or beaches along Surfside or even Garden City for that matter when we took a trip down there earlier this afternoon. So a lot of good news to report. Obviously, we've still got plenty of gusts of wind. It's kind of nice not standing on the beach access point this time and getting blown around for a second, but it was exciting to be a part of that.
Sean, did you see any damage to any of the area homes or anything, or it all stayed on the beach, it seems like, which is good news?
Yeah, so far, I mean, I had a few people reach out to me that have houses along the Surfside area, and it seems like there wasn't really any significant damage. I mean, there was a few articles of patio furniture blown over and stuff like that, but nothing as far as any major damage I saw sustained in Surfside or Garden City.
What about the erosion in the dunes? That's always a huge fear for all of us. What have you noticed here? Have you noticed a lot of eroding going on?
So I actually got a chance to walk along the side of the beach. There was a line of black sand almost towards where the water actually reached up to. It looks like the waves were crashing a little bit farther out to shore. They weren't crashing right on top of the dunes. So some good news there is it wasn't really causing any significant dune erosion out there. As I mentioned, I gave some props to the dunes for really holding their own, and again, no significant damage to the dunes as a result of Dorian's fury out there at sea.
Yeah, we only need to look to the Bahamas and the Grand Bahamas to see just how much worse it could have been. The Surfside Beach aspect of Hurricane Dorian.
I have one more thing, and we have to ask Sean. What is some good news here? Did you get to meet one of your
Folks, sorry about what's been going on with the technical glitches. I just came back from eating dinner. My parents got home. I had dinner with them just now. We're having a lot of technical issues today. I don't know what seems to be going on. I'm just at a loss. I don't know why I can't get anything to work right now. I'm just literally at a loss of words. Thankfully, you won't be able to hear any echoing.
We'll show you what's out here. Don't get curious and try to drive around because it really is life-threatening conditions.
All right, let's see.
Will get worse over the next couple of hours. For now, in Georgetown, I'm Carter Coyle.
A woman and her 2 children.
Okay, so we're going to try to get the ABC affiliate WPDE on right now. I have a way to potentially get the stream down to 480, and we'll try it that way. If we can do it that way, that would be excellent right now, because again, I really want to get an ABC affiliate because you know I love my ABC News.
Is
Let's take a look.
Only getting stronger from our last report. This is the strongest wind I have seen since we began our coverage of the hurricane. We got power lines swaying in the wind. We have traffic lights swinging back and forth. We have street signs that are wiggling back and forth. Additionally, we've seen some of the roofing and siding of people's apartments and condos and townhomes down here coming off. But the good news in Garden City is out here anymore. You can even see the tide, as Ed's been telling you, has started to go back down to about just the end of the pier there. We're not seeing the tide up as high as we did, but the winds are absolutely unbearable. As a general statement, the general breezes out here are very strong. The gusts are even stronger. It's the first time since the beginning of this hurricane coverage that I have fought hard to keep my balance. Now, additionally, the rain that's being carried by that wind is making it hard to see, it's making it hard to drive, and it's definitely making it hard to walk out here. Now, as we continue to see these breezes cut through, we're also seeing water come off of the Atlantic Ocean. That's only adding to visibility issues out here on the roads and here along the beach. For now, reporting live in Garden City, Simon Williams, ABC 15 News.
Simon, thank you so much. Be safe out there. You know, we got Anjali, and it looked kind of calm
it
out
depends
there.
on where you are in Garden
City.
City.
Right where you are, exactly. So again, we like to give you some context with this. We never want to overhype anything.
Sure.
So if you're watching this because you've evacuated, don't panic. The wind where Simon is quite strong, but again, we looked at Anjali and Myrtle Beach.
He's on one side, Anjali's on the other.
Right, and it comes and goes, and that's how this stuff goes. So once the storm passes, by the way, you will not be able to burn anything until given the all clear. Right now, there's a burn ban in place across the state. Officials say they know it may seem a little bit weird, a little odd to call for a burning ban because of all the rain here. Most emergency personnel resources are committed to responding to this storm and storm-related issues, so they won't be able to help put out fires if something were to happen.
Now, there are several school closures we want to tell you about. These are the schools that are closed tomorrow. Horry and Georgetown County schools, Robinson and Scotland County schools will be closed. Dillon 3 and 4, Marion County, Florence 2, 3, 4, and 5 will operate on a 2-hour delay. Now, things are changing, so we'll be updating all this for you on our website. We have the full list on WPDE.com, and we just learned that Marlborough County schools will open tomorrow. So, as I said, things are changing. Check in with WPDE.com.
All right, and Matt Paris, he's another one who's been kind of roaming. He was in the PD, then I think he came over to Marion. Matt, where are you now?
We are still in Conway right now. Summer things in Conway happening to slow down a little bit here. We can just next to 501 here, we can see the traffic slowing as that curfew does take effect there at the top of the hour. We're at Conway High School right now. This serves as one of the many shelters in the area. I'm told by staff inside that they still have hundreds of people here that are expecting shelter tonight who either can't return home or don't want to return home just yet for fear of what this storm is bringing. We heard Simon just a moment ago down on the beach. We can say the same here just a bit inland, that we have seen winds in the last 15 to 20 minutes that have rivaled anything we've seen all day since this event started. Starting to taper off that wind in the last 5 minutes here just before we went live, but we have seen some very heavy winds here just in the last few minutes, and the rain starting to come back as well as those last bands of Hurricane Dorian start to make their way up our coast. Again, we're going to be driving around, roaming around, trying to get a better idea of some of the damages that might be left behind by Hurricane Dorian today. Luckily, it was not the event that many feared it might have otherwise been. We have seen some flooding around in different areas. We know that that is a risk. There are some rivers that are going to be affected and some roads that will be affected by those rivers. I've been given this information, if I can grab it from my phone here. There's Conway Marina will be flooded is what we're hearing. Residential properties will be affected on the riverfront south, Lee's Landing, Savannah Bluff, Pitch Landing, Jackson Bluff, Bucksville. These are all areas that we know have flooded in years past. So if you are in one of those areas, you want to think about either taking cover or preparing for some flooding that could be coming as the rivers rise as a result of all this rain we've received today. But we are going to continue, as I said, to be your eyes and ears out here. Just stay inside. Again, that curfew effective at 7 o'clock. You do not want to be out in this. It is not over just yet. Until it is, we will be out here working for you to give you every aspect of Hurricane Dorian. For now, live in Conway, Matt Parrish, ABC 15 News.
Matt, thank you so much. Of course, now that Hurricane Dorian is pulling away from the Carolinas, we're going to start winding down our continuous coverage.
Right, we do plan to end our continuous coverage at 8 o'clock in about 30 minutes. We will be at the top of the hour at 9 and 10, so we're still here working for you. Our reporters are still out there. We will have a special Hurricane Dorian edition for ABC 15 News at 11 tonight. But we will remain with you on social media and on WPDE.com as well. And again, you've got us for the next 30 minutes as well.
Absolutely. Right now, we're going to check in with ABC 15 News Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z, who's been
all right. So before we get to Ginger Z, I just want to mention that right now, I'm going to have to look for another affiliate. So let's just listen to Ginger G for a second.
Well, you've seen the images, and they were miles from us this morning as they were popping up. We've still got those. Now that tornado watch extends all the way up to Norfolk and Virginia Beach. So even though we're kind of wrapping on the backside of Dorian, saying goodbye to it, we've still got a couple more hours at least here in Myrtle Beach to deal with this.
Alrighty, that was again ABC's Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z there in Myrtle Beach tonight. We get a lot of people coming into town for these storms. It's not something we like to see because that means we've
I
got
had my mic on for a second to butt in.
That's true.
I need to bring up something that, again, if you are just joining, we've been watching WPDE in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The anchors have just announced that they are leaving the air at 8 o'clock. So we'll try to see if WMBF will be on the air at 8 o'clock, which is the Myrtle Beach affiliate of NBC. So let's tune in back to WPDE right now.
Water droplets up here, the rain is actually traveling up. It's actually going upwards instead of down because of that wind and how it's ripping it around. But here you can see, we're on the north end of Garden City. So, a little higher than the south end sits. But as I had mentioned, overall in this area, not a lot of, roadway flooding or anything like that. I really don't even see many things but a large puddle in some of the yards. Of course, we saw down on the southern end of Garden City, Atlantic Avenue, of course, that's very prone to flooding. And then some of the homes around there was lots of water. So it's all just dependent on where you are. But here's kind of an overall view from up here. You can see, the marsh area and the homes, but what we don't see is debris flying around, and that's fantastic. We've been up here before during a hurricane and, seen roof ripping off and, you know, pieces of roofs and siding and whatnot. So, you know, the fact that we don't see all that can be comforting to you if, you know, you evacuated and you're wondering how your home is doing. Well, just know, at least at this point, we don't see a lot of that happening here in the Garden City area. You know, of course, the wind has intensified quite a bit, especially those gusts, and especially this high in the air, but it's not looking too bad. Of course, I do want to say again, there is some flood more in the south end of Garden City, but this is, I would say, you know, obviously the ocean has gone back lower now. It will go to high tide again, but they're not anticipating any of the storm surge problems that they've had in years past with those crashing against the buildings. Guys?
Amanda, thank you so much. Appreciate that report. Let's go ahead and check in with meteorologist John Smith, get an update on the river levels.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, now that Dorian is going to be winding down as we head into the overnight, a lot of people are going to really be thinking about those rivers, because that's something we had to deal with quite a bit with the aftermath of Hurricane Florence as well as Hurricane Matthew. The good news here is we are not looking at a repeat of those two hurricanes as we head into the days beyond Hurricane Dorian here. Now here's a look at Live Doppler 15,000. Now we still have quite a bit of rain to go, but as Dorian continues to make its northeast trek here, you'll see that we're gradually starting to clear things out in the low country of South Carolina. Charleston now starting to see the rain become more intermittent than more widespread, and we will start to see that gradual clearing from southwest to northeast as we head into the overnight. So that is good news, but we still have quite a bit of rainfall still yet to go to add on to the rainfall that we've already seen so far today from Hurricane Dorian. Here's a look at some of the rainfall totals, and they are very impressive, especially as you head along the coast. That's where we've seen some of the highest rainfall amounts. Litchfield at the beach, or Litchfield at the sea, I should say, just over 13 inches of rain. So that is one of the areas that's seeing quite a bit of torrential downpour throughout the day. Surfside Beach now closing in on 11 inches of rainfall. Socastee over 9 inches. Same goes for Conway. Myrtle Beach over 8 inches of rain. Cherry Grove over 7. Same goes for Carolina Forest. You'll notice as we go farther inland, our rainfall numbers come down, and that's because we've seen less rain across the PD and across the border belt. Florence only picking up just shy of 3 inches of rain. Darlington less than that, just over 2 inches. And Bennettsville very slowly making their way to the 1 inch mark. It's taken them all day to do that. Now that is good news in terms of the rivers as you head a little bit farther inland, because we are not expecting much flooding from the rivers as you head deeper inland. But we do have flood warnings for some of those rivers that are a little bit closer to the coast, including the Waccamaw River in Conway, the Little PD River in Gallivant's Ferry, the Lumber River up in Lumberton, and then also for Black Creek in Quimby. These are the 4 rivers that we are going to continue to keep an eye on over the next few days, because we are expecting them to hit flood stage. Now, again, we are not looking at the type of flooding that we saw with Hurricane Florence or with Hurricane Matthew. And the big reason for that is because Dorian has basically been an event that's give or take a 24-hour event. So Dorian came through, is going to be heading out, and it's not going to be sticking around for about 3 days or so like Hurricane Florence did. So we are not going to be hitting those record levels that we set with Hurricane Florence along the Waccamaw River last year at 21 feet. We're going to be far short of that at only 15.5 feet when this river crests on Saturday. Now you'll notice we will be in major flood stage, but just barely as we head into the day tomorrow and through the weekend and early next week. Again, we are not looking at the levels that we saw with Hurricane Florence or with Hurricane Matthew. Hurricane Matthew set the river level up to 17.9 feet. Again, far short of that with this particular situation. Now, as we head a little bit farther to the west, the Little PD River at Gallivant's Ferry, we are going to stay out of flood stage as we head through the day tomorrow, but the river will be rising into minor flood stage over the weekend and then moderate flood stage as we head into early next week. But again, falling quite a bit short of the record flood levels that we saw with Hurricane Florence last year. We'll head on over to the Lumber River at Lumberton. We are going to be entering minor flood stage tomorrow and staying there through the weekend and early next week. Think back to last year. The Lumber River was at major flood stage for about a month or so before it finally started to come down. That is not the case. We are going to be looking at minor flood stage in the wake of Dorian here. So definitely a much better situation to be dealing with. And remember, the Lumber River a little bit farther inland where you have not seen quite as much rain as portions of the Grand Strand. And finally, Black Creek at Quimby, you're going to see this creek fall and rise in the matter of just a few days. We will hit minor flood stage over the weekend and into early next week, but the trend will be down as we head into the middle of next week. So we will keep an eye on these 4 particular rivers as we head through the next few days. But again, the good news here is we are not going to be looking at the flood levels that we saw with Hurricane Florence or Hurricane Matthew. But again, we will keep an eye on these levels over the next few days.
Good news, John. Thank you so much. All right, want to check back in now one last time with Anjali Patel, who is live for us in Myrtle Beach. Anjali, how are you? How are things where you are?
Trey, I have been roaming all over Horry County today for hurricane coverage, but this right here is the strongest winds that I've experienced all day. In fact, the wind nearly took the hat off my head a few moments ago. And even all of those people that I showed you earlier that were here to check out the waves, they've even gone now. Now just take a look at what the wind is doing to the waves, to the palm trees. Everything. I mean, it's just, the wind here is incredible. And now Myrtle Beach is truly just, the boardwalk area down here is just a ghost town. I can't see anyone down here. Now, hopefully this is the strongest of what we'll be getting today. Live in Myrtle Beach, Anjali Patel, ABC 15 News.
Anjali, thank you so much. American Airlines now helping storm victims in the Bahamas. The company sent a Boeing 737 from Miami to Nassau to deliver more than 14,000 pounds of relief supplies to help those affected by the hurricane. Prior to the arrival of the storm, American had also sent 2,000 pounds of relief supplies. Hurricane Dorian made landfall in the northeastern Bahamas as a powerful Category 5 storm, killing at least 23 people that we know of, destroying Abaco and Grand Bahama Islands.
Hurricane Dorian is being blamed for another death, though, this time in Florida. Brevard County's medical examiner announced just hours ago that a 68-year-old man fell to his death while putting up plywood hurricane shutters. There are at least 4 storm-related deaths here in the U.S., 3 in Florida, 1 in North Carolina. All of them involved people who were preparing for the storm, so not even in it yet.
Yeah, and this morning we showed you how a tornado moved through parts of Little River. One homeowner was able to see the actual path of destruction left behind. Take a look. The Long family, they live right next to Mariners Point in Little River. You could see where that cyclone there touched down in the marsh next to the Intracoastal Waterway. It moved through a dock, ripping it apart in the specific path, and it threw heavy 2x4s all over as far as 1,000 feet away.
That's my first experience with the tornado, but it was everything we've heard people say about it. I mean, it sounded like a freight train coming through.
You hear that so often. Amazingly, their home was not damaged. Little damage was actually visible to homes around the path of this wind. Power was out, though, along that part of Little River. Horry County rescue crews have since blocked off Baldwin Avenue, where a tree was blown down.
All right, here's a bird's eye view of the tornado damage in Carolina Shores. You can see it ripped through a barn here. Look at this. The animals inside, we are told, were unharmed, but you can see that debris from the building just kind of scattered around it. You see some cars out there. Thankfully, again, those animals were unharmed in that.
Glad they're okay. Just in response to Hurricane Dorian and for the protection of lives and property, Horry County Council, they instituted a curfew for the unincorporated areas of the county from 7 p.m., so it's in effect right now, until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Now, transit during the curfew will be prohibited with the exception of emergencies. Please stay off the roads until conditions are safe. And the city of Conway will impose a curfew Thursday night tonight as the city is impacted by Hurricane Dorian.
And the curfew for that? 7 to 7, 7 p.m., 7 a.m. Officials are trying to limit the number of people, of course, on the roads during the most dangerous conditions. For now, that curfew is only in place overnight. This is such a fluid situation, though. Some of this could be changing. Sure. Of course, we'll keep you updated if it does. The city says they will reevaluate conditions Friday, tomorrow morning.
The city of Loris also imposing a 7 p.m. curfew in effect until further notice.
City officials say there was a 60-second long siren that was at 7 o'clock. We tried to give you guys fair warning for that because I know if that happened to you or I, we would be nervous. So I hope many of you knew what that was when it happened about 43 minutes ago. Again, those curfews are all now in effect at 7:43 tonight.
All right, a live camera 34 miles off the coast of North Carolina that earned fame during Hurricane Florence is back. I like this because it's live, a darker look tonight. During Hurricane Florence, you know, this camera atop the frying pan tower, it showed the American flag on that platform. Well, the flag named Kevin was battered throughout the hurricane and became badly damaged. Luckily, this one wasn't damaged. So Kevin was later auctioned off for good use, about $11,000 in the weeks following Florence. And all the proceeds went to the Red Cross and its relief efforts. I'm sure the American Red Cross could use a lot of help right now in relation to what happened with Dorian. Absolutely. The tower right there was a lighthouse up until 1965. I want to give you some more history about that. Summer is booking, I believe, a vacation there in the near future. It is now being used as a bed and breakfast after Richard Neal bought it from the U.S. government.
Well, you know, I love a good bed and breakfast.
I know you do.
I love them.
Pet friendly, right?
Got to be pet friendly, so I haven't checked that out yet. But listen, if it is, I'm going. All right, let's go ahead and check in with ABC 15's Simon Williams. Simon, where are you? You've been all over the place. Where are you now?
It's a campfire.
I'm still in Garden City. I'm near the Garden City Pier, and I just found this right here near Ocean Boulevard and Atlantic, just to show you just how strong these winds are when those wind gusts come through. This is off the side of one of the buildings down here. I just found it laying right here in the road when we came down here to do this live shot. Now, I can also tell you that the Atlantic Avenue power lines and street signals here are swaying in the wind back and forth. Of course, when the gusts come through, they're swaying a little bit harder than they are right now, but you can see the general winds coming through this area are consistently moving those back and forth. They are rocking. Now, that's true for all the palm trees down here, all the street signs down here. We've seen debris rolling down the road. We've felt our car rock back and forth, especially when we get up closer to the ocean. Just those winds that are ripping off the Atlantic are very intense here in Garden City near the pier. Now, I understand that might not be the case throughout the entire stretch of Garden City, but I can tell you for a fact, right where we are near the Garden City Pier, the winds are very intense. You can see consistently it is still raining, as Ed said would be the case throughout the majority of tonight, and the winds are carrying that rain, especially when the gusts come through. Live in Garden City, Simon Williams, ABC 15 News.
All right, Simon, thank you so much. Now that Hurricane Dorian is pulling away from the Carolinas, we are going to start winding down our continuous coverage. So here's what we're going to do. We plan on ending at 8. We will be at the top of the hour at 9 and 10. And then we'll have a special Hurricane Dorian edition at ABC 15 News at 11.
Yes, but we will remain with you on social media, of course, and on WPDE.com as well. Hurricane Dorian is still battering the Carolinas. It slowly moved north, of course. Natasha Chen is on the ground in Charleston. You know, Charleston got a lot of flooding. Let's go ahead and see what she saw today.
Well, nearly 250,000 customers are out of power in 3 states right now, the bulk of which are here in South Carolina. Across the state of South Carolina, there are no reported fatalities Thursday afternoon, but officials are warning people to be careful still not to go out, as flooding is a major issue here.
This downed power line in the streets of Charleston is one of multiple hazards brought by Dorian to the Carolinas. The wind is taking down trees and power lines. The heavy rain is flooding low-lying areas.
Largely, everyone has heeded the warning to stay off of the roadways. We still have dangerous conditions present.
Dorian is even spawning tornadoes. In Little River, just north of Myrtle Beach, residents were startled awake by a loud noise.
We just heard the loud rumbling noise. Kind of sounds like a train.
In North Carolina, the National Weather Service shared this image of a possible tornado near Wilmington. And in Emerald Isle, Byron Cox and his father Simon also rode out a tornado.
I've never seen anything like this in my entire life.
North Carolina's Governor Roy Cooper said he's activated more of the state's National Guard soldiers and urged residents to stay alert.
Get to safety and stay there. Don't let your guard down.
In South Carolina, flooding remains a chief concern. This video taken in Charleston shows high water moving quickly in the streets. Dozens of roads in the city are also closed. This business owner is hoping for the best on the other side of the storm.
Fortunately, we'll be back open this weekend. The sun will be out. Those 4 people in the Bahamas, have years to regroup, but we'll be all good in a couple of days.
And there are still 35 shelters open across the state of South Carolina. Even as a few places are starting to lift evacuation orders, we are hearing of new mandatory orders farther north in places like Virginia Beach. In Charleston, South Carolina, Natasha Chen, back to you.
All right, want to check back in with Amanda Kinsett, who's live in Garden City for us tonight. Amanda?
Yeah, well, I am happy to report, if you take a look out at the ocean, it's low tide now, and the ocean finally looks a little more like normal. Obviously, if you can see some of the waves, they are higher than what we might usually have, and there is a lot of that sea foam that y'all talked about earlier, but it's finally died down a bit, so it looks a little more normal for our area anyway. We're used to that nice calm ocean for the most part. We will see high tide tonight, this morning, around 1:45 a.m., I believe. So it will come up. But as Ed mentioned, the wind will be going against it. So it's not anticipated to come up and reach the storm surge and, anything damaging as far as that goes. And I think this whole experience, obviously, it just showcases that every hurricane is very different in all the elements. This one, think about all the tornado warnings that we had and different areas getting different aspects of it. More rain in some areas, more wind in some areas. I believe for this area down here, Garden City, Surfside area, more rain is still expected this evening. But, as far as looking at everything, I don't want to breathe a sigh of relief yet, but I know that you never know what to expect. So I'm happy that we haven't come across anything too terrible or too damaging. Obviously, the tornadoes did take a hit on a lot of people, and that is always, that's always terrible. But as far as, the storm surge and all that and, major flooding in this area, we have seen the flash flooding around, but we haven't seen anything too intense, at least right around here. Guys?
All right, Amanda, thank you so much for those live reports.
Hey, don't forget about our WPDE weather app. This was a good reminder. It will give you 24/7 weather alerts, and we'll be able to monitor the radar. You can actually zoom in on the radar, see this stuff for yourselves. It's pretty cool. Head to your app store and search WPDE WX, and do not forget to download the WPDE News app either. It's another good one to have. You'll be able to watch us live on your phone if the power goes out, not just during a storm, any day. If there's ever a power outage, we'll send you news alerts. Find us on the App Store and on Google Play. Just search WPDE.
Several F-15 fighter jets from North Carolina are riding out Hurricane Dorian at Tinker Air Force Base while the storm lashes along the coast. The jet is relocated to this tarmac in sunny Oklahoma. Now, the aircraft flew in from Johnson Air Force Base in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and will stay until Dorian passes.
Let's go ahead and check in one last time with ABC 15's Matt Paris. He is, I believe, at a shelter in Conway. Matt, how are people holding up out there?
Yeah, it's typical Carolina, Conway strong here, folks. Calm and taking in the rest of what has been a very long day here throughout the Carolinas dealing with Hurricane Dorian. I'll tell you just a little bit about where we started. We started today in Florence in the PD, checking out conditions out there as the rains and winds move through there. Folks out there all day yesterday and today were talking to us, concerned, just tired and fatigued of dealing with storms like this for so many years. They, of course, breathing a sigh of relief today as they realized that the storm was not as bad as it otherwise could have been. We traveled throughout Darlington County and then down to Nichols and Marion County to see how these areas that have previously known horrendous flooding from these storms are dealing with the rains today. Most of the weather out in the PD, as I said, thankfully pretty tame compared to what we were dealing with once we started our way back toward Conway, and the weather started to deteriorate pretty much as soon as we crossed into Horry County as we got closer, of course, to the eye of Dorian. just off the coast there of South Carolina. The wind and the rain picked up. It's been heavy ever since here as the storm continued to batter this area all evening long. Of course, as we've been saying, a curfew fell upon Horry County at 7 o'clock tonight. That will go until 7 in the morning tomorrow. Really isn't something you want to test, folks, because what they want to do is make sure that every person on the road is supposed to be there. That means emergency vehicles, electrical engineers that are trying to fix our power lines. We've had power outages throughout the area today, so lots of essential vehicles that need to make their way around need to be out on the roads. You do not, because it is not safe out there really for anyone to be driving. The wind and rain still in our area as Dorian makes its way out of our coast here. But we're going to talk to some folks here at the shelter about what they've experienced today in the last few days leading up to Dorian. We'll have that for you tonight on ABC 15 News at 11. For now, live in Conway, Matt Paris, ABC 15 News.
All right, Matt, we appreciate your effort today. He was all over the place. He stayed safe. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks to all our team out there. There are several school closures tomorrow. That list includes Horry and Georgetown County, Robinson and Scotland County, Dillon 3 and 4 in Marion County. Florence 2, 3, 4, and 5 will operate on a 2-hour delay. We have a full list for you on our website. And we just learned that Marlborough County schools will open tomorrow. So just check out it on WPDE.com for any updates, delays, all that stuff. We'll be updating that throughout the night and maybe in the morning. Yeah. Right now, I want to check in with our chief meteorologist, Ed Piotrowski, to get one more update on Hurricane Dorian. You know what? Yeah, Ed's microphone's off. That's okay. We're going to check the batteries, check back in with him just here in a moment.
You know,
just hang tight for a minute.
We have about 6 minutes left in our wall-to-wall coverage. We almost made it without a mic failure, but it happens. You know, we've been getting our batteries changed.
Well, it's happened out in the field, too.
It happens all the time.
Yeah,
yes.
People lost. We thought we lost one of the reporters at one point. He just disappeared and dropped off. He came back.
He came back with a new battery,
yeah,
so it's all good. It's all good. They're getting
live TV, folks.
They're getting Ed's mic fixed right now.
But
so
hey, what do you expect? We've been on the air since, what, 3 o'clock this morning? This is what happens. Batteries run low sometimes. But we don't. We're going to be here for you. We're going to be here for you. Ed's going to give us one more update on Dorian. I know a lot of people are anxious to know where exactly Dorian is right now. We want to know, too. And here he is, the man of the hour, our chief meteorologist, Mr. Ed Piotrowski. Hey, Ed.
I want to thank engineer Zach Covey for helping me out there and helping change the batteries. I can change batteries, I just didn't know where they were. All right, here's a look at the rainfall totals thus far. Over a foot of rain in Litchfield. Surfside Beach, over 10.5 inches. Just under that in Socastee, Conway, Myrtle Beach. Cherry Grove is approaching 8 inches now. Carolina Forest over 7 inches. Longs at 6.98. Florence now only getting close to 3, and a lot of folks in Lumberton wondering about the rains because of the Lumber River and how awful the flooding has been there in 2016 and 2018. No issues this time in the Lumber River. You've only had 2.5 inches of rain. You may tack on another inch or two, but that's inconsequential to what you had compared to, of course, Matthew and Florence. Darlington, 2.16 inches of rain, and Bennettsville still just under an inch. Here's a look at live Doppler 15,000, and there goes Dorian. Heading off to the east and northeast, it will not make landfall in Cape Fear. It has a chance of making landfall early tomorrow morning in Cape Lookout. If that's the case, that's the first U.S. landfall that Dorian would have made. That's pretty incredible when you think about it, because it got so close to Florida. It basically was in arm's length of Georgia and South Carolina. It's going to take the last state it can make landfall in to do so, probably sometime tomorrow morning. But we still have plenty of rain out there. As this low pressure system known as Dorian moves away, the lift in the atmosphere will start to fall apart. Some drier air will move in, so these will begin to break up and move from west to east as we head through the overnight hours. Still, a flash flood warning remains in effect for eastern Horry County. That goes until 9:30 because of the excessive amounts of rain we've had, and it continues to rain, light to moderate to even heavy at times along the Grand Strand and across Horry and Georgetown counties. Rain is lightening up just a bit across the PD here, with light rain in Darlington and Hartsville, a little more moderate as you head into Florence County. And finally, up on the border belt, for the most part, we've got some widespread rain. Again, that'll be coming to an end later on tonight. Futurecast shows that. We head toward midnight. A lot of the rain is headed east. It's just about completely out of here as we head through bright and early tomorrow morning. All right, take a look at the winds here. We're gusting to 54 in Myrtle Beach. Generally in the 30s to around 40 for many areas inland, and those winds will stay near those levels for the next couple of hours, occasionally gusting in the 50s and 60s. But by and large, those winds will be coming down, especially once we get past midnight and tomorrow.
Bye, Zach.
I see you, Zach.
He's out of
just
here.
screamed at
He's
the
been here,
end.
what, since 3 this morning? What time?
He was here actually earlier than I was. So.
All right. See you, Zach.
Poor
Let's
guy.
go
All
to
right,
bed.
he gets a pass. Hey, folks, we cannot thank you enough for trusting our team here at ABC 15 to help you get through Hurricane Dorian.
Yeah.
We're running our own teleprompter. If you
Even
wonder
though the
why
storm passing us, our coverage is far from over. We will be back on the air for ABC 15 News at 11. Ed, I know you're going to be here doing some Facebook Lives here too.
No Facebook Lives tonight.
Okay.
But I will be live at 11.
At 11, okay.
On ABC 15.
We will be here for you then, so we'll see you at 11, guys.
Bye, folks.
I got it in four-wheel drive. I could barely get across.
You could barely get across, so what made you decide to do? Just need to get out of Garden City?
Yeah, I went down there just to check out the beach. Yeah, don't go down there.
Go into your tornado safe room now. This is not something to joke around with.
Is this a new tornado warning now? Okay, so we do have a brand new tornado warning. If we could, let's clear that flash flood warning so we can concentrate on the tornado warning.
We have team coverage all over the Grand Strand and the PD.
We're in Garden City as the tide is passing its peak, and as you can see out here, we have a very angry ocean as the waves continue to lash Garden City and the coastal region.
This kind of wind will
All right,
test
so
your
again,
balance
you've been
and,
watching
you know,
WPDE, the
well you
ABC affiliate for Myrtle Beach, South Carolina right now. They are leaving the air. They are potentially, they've mentioned that they are going to come back on the air at 9 p.m. Eastern, but we'll have to check in on them later on. There is a change of plan right now. I am thinking I might end this live stream around midnight, 12:30 tonight. I was originally planning till 1 a.m., but I'm thinking the storm is winding down the Carolinas, and I'm thinking tomorrow I need to get you the affiliates from Norfolk and Delmarva if possible. So they have just left the air, so let's just check the National Hurricane Center's website and see if they have the 8 p.m. statement they were supposed to issue. So that way I can get you an idea of what's pretty much going on here. So let's just see if we got the 8 p.m. advisory. Yes, we do. Okay, here is the 8 p.m. advisory. Here's what we got right now. Eye wall of Dorian very near Cape Fear, North Carolina. Okay, so Cape Fear, North Carolina. I'm thinking maybe we should go to an ABC affiliate of North Carolina right now. Let's get an idea of where Cape Fear, North Carolina is. Get you an idea of that area. Because if there's an ABC affiliate that's live right now, let's get an idea. Okay, I'm believing this is Wilmington, North Carolina. Okay, so we'll look into getting an ABC affiliate, the ABC affiliate from Wilmington, North Carolina, because I'm thinking the storm is winding down in Myrtle Beach, but remember, they're not completely out of it yet. But remember, there was a tornado confirmed, and we saw online that there clearly was a tornado in Myrtle Beach along the Grand Strand today. So you know that anything is possible in Virginia tomorrow morning, or even tomorrow afternoon in that case. I know I may have to tape Bandy Plays in the morning, do my workout, and then figure it out from there. But I'm literally trying to get it as, you know, much information as I can. I might even wake up early at 8 a.m. tomorrow just to get a head start and get my day going. Because I know I normally sleep in on Fridays, but under the circumstances, you have to understand that we're dealing with a very bad situation here with this hurricane. So let's just try to get what we got right now. Changes. Okay, we have some good news in South Carolina. The hurricane warning from Edisto Beach, South Carolina to the South Santee River has been changed to a tropical storm warning. The tropical storm warning south of Edisto Beach has been discontinued. So let's just double check to see. hurricane warning towards the North Carolina, Virginia border. Right now, here's what we know. We have tropical storm warning in effect for North Carolina, Virginia, Chesapeake Bay, Bulls hold to, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. So, again, we're keeping an eye on it. Alright, so, alright, 9V4, 9.64, okay. Has the cone changed? That's the problem. We need to know if the cone has changed. Get an idea of it. Here we go. Okay, here we are. So again, the tropical storm warnings are still in effect for Accomack and Northampton County. We know that all of Norfolk needs to take this seriously by, I would say, tomorrow afternoon. We could see something along there. Thankfully, the good thing is the hurricane right now is in North Carolina. It is slowly leaving South Carolina, so that is excellent news on that end. So let's see where it is on the radar. Give you all an idea of that. Because I am going to take you to WWAY in just a second, which is the ABC affiliate for Wilmington, North Carolina. Okay, let's try to load up the picture. There's a picture I'm trying to load up, but it's just taking its time. Let's try to go with the 16 floater. Alright, so it's slowly leaving South Carolina, like I said before. Let's see. Okay, here's a better idea of what we're looking at. And again, there's still some heavy bands of rain in Myrtle Beach. So we may check up on Myrtle Beach later tonight if warranted. We're trying to take a look and see where is Wilmington. There they are right there. Okay. They are seeing something. So earlier they were mentioning, and I'll try to get you an idea of what they were saying in North Carolina or South Carolina earlier, was there was one specific place that got 20 inches of rain. Now, I'm left wondering more questions than answers on how this even happens. They are seeing something. Apologize about that, everyone. Just want to rewind back and find, looking at earlier. Okay, here's a specific answer. I'm trying to get to you all right now, if I can get that answer.
Exactly Dorian is right now, we want to know too.
Do apologize. Litchfield by the Sea. Let's look up Litchfield by the Sea for just a second and get an idea of where it is on the map. Okay. It is along the Grand Strand. All right, hang on. Do apologize about that. I have to take care of something in the meanwhile. It shouldn't take that long. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be talking while WWAY is playing, or unless maybe we can get there. Trying to see Litchfield Beach for a second. Okay, here we go. So, Litchfield by the Sea is further south of Garden City. Garden City is down here. You have Surfside Beach, and then you have the Myrtle Beach metropolitan region. Now, that's obvious, of course. And then this is what we're concerned about right now is Wilmington, Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina. So, Let's see if we can get into WWAY right now. We're going to see if they are streaming. I don't know if they are live streaming right now. Let's see if we can get to a live stream. Okay, they're also the CBS affiliate. Let's see. Are they live right now?
Of this storm.
You know, the main thing is that...
Okay, they are live right now, so we're going to check into WWAY television.
The hurricane looks like. You know, the emergency manager
Wilmington,
and local officials.
Hang on, let me see if there's a separate NBC affiliate. Maybe we'll tune into them instead.
And make sure that
you know, an independent source. Let's take a look. Okay, good. Let's see if they're affiliated with anybody else. Okay, good. They're an strictly owned independent station. Let's see. See if they are live right now. Try to see if they are on the air.
Shifting out of the area, still.
Okay, so here is the NBC affiliate WECT.
And we will have drastically improved
Wilmington,
once we get
North
early tomorrow
Carolina.
morning. Look what's going to happen by tomorrow afternoon. The storm racing its way eastward. We will have sunshine, and we will have winds more in the 15 to 20 mile per hour range likely as we head towards tomorrow afternoon. The risk time frame, of course, we've got the rest of this evening and overnight. Storm surge, heavy rain still possible for at least the coming hours. Damaging winds, so through tonight that will all be true, but the heavy rain begins to shut off tomorrow morning. The stronger winds begin to shut off tomorrow morning. And the tornado threat, already pretty low at this point, will completely disappear later tonight as we get on the backside of the storm. And we've got beautiful weather. Notice green indicates unlikely to see any kind of impacts from any of these things as we head towards Friday afternoon and into the weekend. So hang in there. Improvements coming, but we've got to get through the rest of tonight. Tomorrow, impacts early in the day with the wind and potential storm surge early in the day. And then, of course, the storm continues to pull away. Close to 90 for both Saturday and Sunday, mostly sunny skies and pretty typical weather for this time of the year. Mid-80s for highs, isolated thunderstorms Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. Fran and John?
All right, thanks so much, Eric. Let's check in now with Alex Garena, who is at Wrightsville Beach, where the wind is really starting to pick up. Alex?
Hey, Fran, John, yeah, the wind is definitely starting to pick up. We're actually under an overhang here on the intercoastal side. The house where we're staying has a generator, and that's why we have lights. The rest of the street, pitch black. Over on Wrightsville Beach, though, they do still have power. We can see it over the intercoastal. There are lights there, but this wind is just getting stronger and stronger very quickly. If you can see behind me, the trees are whipping. The rain is going completely sideways. It's just stronger winds than I remember feeling during Florence last year, certainly. Coming right this way, really have to sturdy, can't see it here, but 2 feet on the ground, really trying to stay standing, but conditions definitely picking up here very quickly.
All right, so Alex, tell us again where you are in proximity to the actual beach.
Sure. So, Fran, if you were driving up to the Wrightsville Beach Bridge, take a left instead of going right if you were going to Dockside or Bridge Tender. We're on the other side of that, the intercoastal. So right across from us, there's a street and then all of the docks that go into the water. So we are pretty close to the water. Storm surge, certainly a concern here. We have been watching that. Definitely too dangerous to go out on any of those docks, but this porch and the houses are high enough that flooding shouldn't be an issue. It's really the wind. The house that we're at has windows boarded up, and just not a single person in sight, but it's tough to even see now because it is so dark on this street. When we were driving down, we could see the docks, we could see the waves, and it was certainly choppy and very strong. But now that a transformer blew on the street, this is the only house with power on the entire street. So not sure when the rest of the power is going to come back on. Likely 2 feet on the ground, really trying to stay standing, but conditions definitely picking up here very quickly.
All right, so Alex, tell us again where you are in proximity to the actual beach.
Sure. So, Fran, if you were driving up to the Wrightsville Beach Bridge, take a left instead of going right if you were going to Dockside or Bridge Tender. We're on the other side of that, the Intercoastal. So right across from us, there's a street, and then all of the docks that go into the water. So we are pretty close to the water. Storm surge, certainly a concern here. We have been watching that. Definitely too dangerous to go out on any of those docks, but this porch and the houses are high enough that flooding shouldn't be an issue. It's really the wind. The house that we're at has windows boarded up, and just not a single person in sight. But it's tough to even see now because it is so dark on this street. When we were driving down, we could see the docks, we could see the waves, and it was certainly choppy and very strong. But now that a transformer blew on the street, this is the only house with power on the entire street. So not sure when the rest of the power is going to come back on. Likely not tonight, but as of right now, we can still see across to Wrightsville Beach, and they do still have power.
As you've been driving around, Alex, I know you made your way. You were down near Snow's Cut Bridge earlier, and you were across the Intercoastal Waterway. Are you seeing a lot of people out and about? I know it's now 8:15 coming up on it now, a lot darker. But are you seeing a lot of people as you were driving around the last hour, 90 minutes or so?
Yeah, John, more than we would expect to see. Definitely quite a few people stopping along the Intercoastal trying to take pictures. A few people lingering there, definitely not a safe thing to do. I'm sure now that it's dark, it may be different. We even saw one person trying to walk across the closed Wrightsville Beach Bridge to get up there and take some pictures and then walk down the other side. But, Wrightsville Beach, no one getting onto the beach, but there were quite a few people. And that drive from Snow's Cut to Wrightsville, we definitely saw a decent amount of cars out, but it didn't look like anyone was just mulling around. We saw people at gas stations and the few remaining stores that were open. So it seems like people are taking this seriously, stocking up last minute before things started to get bad, and they certainly are picking up quite a bit here in Wrightsville Beach.
Alex, did you talk to anyone earlier today who said they're going to stay despite the fact there is a mandatory evacuation that was really put in order yesterday?
Fran, we did it because we could not get over onto Wrightsville Beach. We do know that plenty of people stayed. There were those arrests made last night because there is a mandatory curfew, like you guys have been mentioning, and that they were off their property on the beach, and that is a misdemeanor, and Wrightsville Beach is taking that very seriously. We do know people that stayed, but where we are staying right now, this house has people that evacuated Wrightsville Beach. They live on the beach side of Wrightsville, and they're coming to stay with friends over on the other side of the bridge to be safe and careful. So there certainly were quite a few people that did leave as well, and we won't know exact numbers. Wrightsville Beach did not have a press conference tonight at 8. They will have one tomorrow at 11 a.m. to update on storm damage after everything is kind of passed through.
All right, Alex. That scene looks so familiar, the wind blowing, your hair going in all different directions, and even the sound. There's a sound of a hurricane. In fact, I said to my husband last week, this sounds crazy, but it's true. I said, I smell a hurricane. He said, that just doesn't make any sense. I said, it does to me because I've been through enough of them. I could smell a hurricane on the way. And so we are waiting and counting down the hours until Dorian comes and does what it's going to do, and hopefully the damage is minimal, and we'll get out of here and we can go on with our lives tomorrow. Obviously, some folks will have some cleaning up to do tomorrow, some repairs to make tomorrow, because this area will not go unscathed through Dorian. We know that to be a fact, but we're hoping, keeping our fingers crossed, that it's not going to be as bad as earlier in the week we thought it could be,
Right.
and certainly not as devastating as Florence was a year ago.
And most of the bad damage was done earlier during the string of tornado warnings that came out. The farm at Brunswick down in Brunswick County, one injury, a man suffered a broken wrist. But looking at the damage to several of the homes there, you're lucky only one person had something of that nature. You have some of the other thing at Crow Creek Golf Club. We had several trees down. Porter's Neck area, we had some flooding in Ogden. But the structural damage, a lot of that came early this morning. And hopefully, if we've got maybe the storm taking a little bit path and not going to make a landfall here, hopefully we don't have to worry too much more about any structural damage coming. That would be the blessing. Flooding, that's going to come here with the extra rain, but the structure will be a good deal.
Well, hopefully that's the case, but we're going to go now back to Marissa Hunley, where the winds have really picked up, and they are definitely starting to see the impact of Dorian. Marissa?
Yeah, Fran, this is the first time we've been outside in the last hour. We've been hunkered down in the EOC, but as soon as we came out here, completely different story than the last time we were outside. These huge gusts of winds coming by. Feels like another one is coming on. I'm leaning against this column when it starts blowing because it's pretty strong out here. We are protected with a covering here, and we've got some light in this building, but the entire city of Southport is without power. Crews with Brunswick County EMS fire not responding because of the wind speeds right now. Southport crews are responding, but on a case-to-case emergency basis because the wind speeds are bad and because it's just too dangerous to be out on the roads right now. We actually, we just saw a car go by. But other than that, we have not seen any vehicles on the roadway, which is a good thing. Curfew here put in place at noon today. And as a whole, Southport is happy with how folks have responded to that curfew. We had asking vehicles to go home earlier, and it seems like they really heeded that warning, and they are staying home, hunkered down without power unless they have a generator. Of course, the EOC here does have generators. They had a couple power surges right after that flash flood warning went off about an hour ago. And as soon as that happened, it really picked up as far as, woo! Okay.
So maybe you go back inside now, Marissa, and we'll check with you in a little bit. Marissa is a minute big. She could get blown away. So why don't you go back inside and we'll check with you in a little bit. Why don't we check in now with Colin Hackman, who was at Carolina Beach, and see what the conditions are there.
Yeah, Francis, right now we're experiencing the strongest winds that we've seen thus far in this storm, reminiscent of Hurricane Florence. It's interesting to see this wind come out of the northeast now. We've seen a component shift here just over the course of the last 15 minutes or so. Earlier it was coming basically straight on us, and now it's quarter angling us, a sign that the center of circulation is moving past us here. We've had the power go down several times here on the north edge of Carolina Beach. I just texted with Mayor Joe Benson and asked him if everything was going well. He said it was, that there was just power flickering in certain locations, and that's to be expected. I noticed the offshore buoy that sits about 9 miles away from us this way had a hurricane sustained wind at 76 miles per hour. We're not seeing anything sustained that strong, but we have had some gusts that I think that are close to hurricane force winds. Same things remain in place. The curfew, it says you have to stay on your property. There's not a whole lot of reasons to not be on your property at this point. Snowscut Bridge is closed. EOC here operating as Carolina Beach officials continue to monitor the situation. It's been good thus far, and with this storm accelerating and moving past us here at low tide, as Eric mentioned, I think that is one of the primary concerns, not only for beach erosion impact, but also these seawalls that are down behind us. You know where the rock groins are at Fort Fisher, at the north end of the Carolina Beach North Fishing Pier here behind me. Those locations, those locations are the spots that we would likely see any breaching at high tide. But with this storm, at least equal with us here along Long Bay and southeastern North Carolina coastline as it continues to move away or near us and then away, I think that we probably will see less of an impact than some of the public safety officials were concerned about with this corresponding, at least the highest wind speeds, perhaps corresponding with high tide. So we're not out of the woods yet by any means, by any part of the imagination. There are few roof tiles here near me, and we're starting to see a little bit of structural issues, and I don't know if John can see that, but on our next live hit, they've lost about half of the shingles here just at one of the doorways right behind me. In our next live hit, we're going to move down toward the ground level and give you a kind of a sense of what's going on North Canal, see how the flooding is doing as this storm really starts to show us what it's been doing out over the open ocean. We've been all waiting so long for this to get here. Now that it's here, everybody on guard.
Well, Colin, you're a meteorologist at this stage of the storm, and I'm reluctant to make a comparison, but you can steer me in the right direction as a meteorologist. At this stage of the storm, how does this wind, because you were at Carolina Beach a year ago, how does it compare to Florence last year?
I'm not sure I heard you. The producer was talking at the same time, but you're asking in the comparison of the wind speeds from last year in Florence?
Yes.
Okay, so last year in Florence, we were sheltered on the lee side of the hotel downtown, and so we were in probably a little bit better position to be able to stand and do live shots rather than where I am right now. If you can get the idea, there's a wall here. If I was 3 more feet this way, we'd be experiencing those probably 60-mile-per-hour plus winds at this time. I think that the biggest difference, obviously, between Florence and what we're seeing with Dorian is going to be the duration. You know, when we started into Florence, it was like, okay, you know, we were waiting for Dorian to get here. We were waiting for Florence to leave because as it showed up, it just didn't stop. And it felt like we were under tropical storm force winds for a considerable amount of the early afternoon and evening. Then we got into those hurricane force winds, and that lasted into the next day. I think the good news is that once we go out at first light tomorrow, that we'll actually be able to go look and see what kind of damage was done. I think wind speeds in the morning will be more similar to what we saw during daylight hours, say 5 or 6 o'clock, than to what we're seeing now. Isn't it always the case, though? It seems to be, at least for us, with Hurricane Fran, with Hurricane Florence, and with many other of the storms that we've had here in southeastern North Carolina, that the biggest impact comes at night, so you're not necessarily able to see what's going on and take a look at those damage situations as they happen. Of course, the town of Carolina Beach and the town of Curie Beach urging people just to sit inside. We still have power here. It's flickered on and off on the north end of Carolina Beach, so my assumption is that there are many other locations that do still have power. I have had a report from Sean McKee with Island Gazette said that most of Curie Beach does not have power at this time, so we'll continue to monitor that as well.
All right, I have one more question, Colin, and this may seem like a silly one. I'm just kind of curious. It's 74 degrees. You're on the water. The wind is blowing. It's raining. Is it cold? I'm just curious.
No, it's not cold at all. It's humid, and I'm in a frog tog suit, so that I'm pretty warm in here, comfortable. We have the air conditioning on, which is, you know, as a creature that likes his comfort, it's been nice to have the air conditioning on. I don't want that to go away. So no, it's not hot, not cold. Probably pretty comfortable. The wind, I don't know what the wind chill factor would be with a 60-mile-per-hour wind and temperatures at 80 degrees or below. You definitely can feel the sea, and that's something that I noticed earlier today. That the ocean, the rain appears to have salt in it because a lot of this is just ocean spray. We're only 50, maybe 80 meters from the ocean itself and the seawall. Difficult to see at night, but again, in our next live hit, safely, John. And I are going to go down to the ground level here on property, staying with the curfew rules, but to try to give you guys a sense of what those winds are like.
All right, folks, I'm going to have to end this live stream. I know it's unfortunate, but there's no way I can constantly get a stream for you all. I've been on the air for 2 hours, so I'm going to have to wrap this up. And by the way, that's my tablet in the background. So have a good night, everyone. I'll try to see if I can give updates, maybe via pre-recorded, because this is just being inconsistent. So take care, everyone.